Good morning. I'm on my adventures again, and today I'm on a search for Horsley Castle. Let's go and see if we can find this elusive castle. My first question is, why build a castle here at Horsley? Was it chosen in preference because of its ease of access to the ancient roadway called the Portway? Could it be because there is a good supply of Millstone Grits, which is ideal for castle building because it hardens on later exposure? This supply of ashlar stone was used for country houses such as Kedleston Hall from the 16th century through to the railway works and other extensive developments of the Industrial Revolution. Unfortunately, like many castles, the dressed stone was rubbed over this long period, making it difficult now to visualize how the castle stood. One can assume part or all of the castle, farm, and Horsley Lodge was built using the leftover stone. Further on with my research, I fell upon a 1727 drawing by Samuel Buck, which affords some small help. The manor of Horsley, or as it was called Horeston, is mentioned in the Domesday Survey and belonged to Ralph de Buron, whose descendants held it over 100 years. Ralph, son and heir Robert, was a Crusader, but it was his brother John who Lord Byron writes about. Near Askalon's tower, John of Horeston slumbers. In 1086, the manor of Horsley was one of Ralph de Buron's 5 holdings in Derbyshire, and his demise there. He had a further 7 estates in Nottinghamshire, and was the forerunner of a more well-known Byron family of later years. Whether this Ralph or his son Hugh built the first castle of Horsley is unknown, although the latter is mentioned during the reign of King Stephen as sometime Lord of the castle of Horeston. King John in some manner acquired this castle, which in 1214 was designated a royal castle and its lands. The castle was granted to William de Ferrers, Earl of Derby, to afford a secure residence for his countess while he was absent in the Holy Land. Just then, however, broke out civil war with the barons, and this earl, a faithful supporter of the bad king, took by assault the castles of the Peak and Bolsover, and thus, with Duffield, held all the chief fortresses of Derbyshire. Hugh de Buron died in the mid-12th century. His eldest son of similar name became a monk at Lenton Priory in Nottingham, a foundation of William Peveril, and further endowed by Hugh. Consequently, the manor and castle passed to the younger son Roger, who accounted for 10 knights' fees in their respect. Roger died before 1200. An estate passed by the marriage of his sister Adelaide to the descendants, whose origin were in a village of a name 7.5 miles to the southeast. Over the years, the castle was gifted to so many dukes and knights I've lost count. But I pick up the story again when Peter de Saniaker III spent a sum of 175 equivalent pounds on the castle before ceding it to the King John in 1204 in exchange for about 195 acres of the Jaters manor of Lichfield. For over a century, there was ongoing expenditure on repairs and improvements by John, Henry III, and the first two Edwards. These expenditures were scribed over the years in the central rolls for tax purposes, giving a generally grand look into how large the castle was in its heyday. The tower in 1205, repairs to fence, bridge, buildings and gutter in 1247. Instructions for armours in 1264 and in 1282. Reinforcements by 1 knight and 40 footmen in 1327. There is also repeated references to a chaplain presupposing a chapel. After considering how the money was spent, it gives great insights into this royal castle, and these dates coincide with King John's visit of 1204 and 1209. In 1225, a list of 19 inmates of this castle was given in the calendar of fines, with the land they occupied in the vicinity of the fortress, and throughout that century, as also during the 14th, various appointments were made by the Crown and recorded of its governors. In 1250, Peter de Montfort, a kinsman of a great earl and counsellor of the king, held Horeston, afterwards killed on a baron's side at Evesham. Horsley was granted in 1255 to Hugh Despencer, and in 1392 to John de Holland, Earl of Huntingdon, for his lifetime. In 1453, Henry VIII bestowed the castle and lordship of Horeston on Edmund Hadham, Earl of Richmond, and then it came to Jasper, Earl of Pembroke. After the middle of the 14th century, the status of Horsley Castle declined, and emerged for administrative purposes with a manor. Further on my research, it came to a dead end, and no further significant records survive in the central rolls, apart from a mention of spending of 20 marks on the gates, bridge, and lead for the chamber roof in 1326. The year before, 2 shillings had been received for grass mowed from the moat about the castle. In 1514, the castle and manor of Horsley was given by Henry VIII to the Duke of Norfolk, in part recognition of his services at Flodden Field the previous year. The Duke in 1530 conveyed the estate to Sir Michael Stanhope, from whom it descended to the Earls of Chesterfield, one of whom sold the manor and castle to the Sitwell family about the year of 1817. Reverend Stukeley, a pronounced writer of the time, wrote in 1713 when travelling from Derby. A little further northward, upon Rinsing Street, is Horeston Castle, whose ruins on a hoary rock are nearly obliterated, and out of it they cut great quantities of rubstones to wet scythes withal. So little remains now of the castle, that not much can be decided as to the date of its architecture. A considerable quantity of moulded ashlar stones and other fragments belonging to the end of the 12th century are built into the wall of the old Duffield Thrift Park under the direction of Reverend C. Carey. Excavations have been made on the site of the castle, which is on the summit of a hill about a mile from Horsley Church, when the base of a small tower was cleared out, and the face of a bank against the masonry fronting Horsley was removed. The present ruin formed a portion of a keep, which appears to have been multi-angular and apparently constructed on an outcrop of rock at a considerable elevation above the rest of the castle building. The site has been disturbed by quarrying operations, but the lines of the fortress can scarcely be made out. What one thinks is a moat could just be quarrying for stone. To end with a quote by Sir James Dixon Mackenzie, the 7th Bart of Scotwell, gives a wonderful description of daffodils on Castle Hill. A little while ago, the Castle Hill was famous for its daffodils, and one kind which was identified as a daffodil of Syria, proving its eastern origin, but this variety has disappeared long ago, like its castle.